Hello everyone! And today's video guys, I have here my Graptoveria Fred Ives and my potting mix ready and also my pot. By the way, welcome to my channel, Gardening Journey with Eds, and thank you for tuning in. So let me start with this first one. I just put some mash and a new fresh garden soil. And please stay and join me on how I repot my Graptoveria Fred Ives. So these Graptoveria Fred Ives are in one pot and they're all like crowded, and I decided to put them in their individual pots since they're growing babies and they're getting bigger. So while I'm repotting these, let's learn about Graptoveria Fred Ives first. Graptoveria Fred Ives is an incredibly pretty evergreen succulent and forming spreading clumps of large rosettes, like 12 inches wide or 30 centimeters, of fleshy pointed bronze leaves adorned with shades of pink, depending on seasons, temperatures, and sun exposures. The rosette may blend shades of blue, teal, salmon, coral, or yellow. Born on a short, stout stem, this plant produces 1 to 2 feet long, or 30 to 60 centimeters. Arching inflorescences with pale yellow flowers and red-orange centers in summer. Vigorous and forgiving, Fred Ives is the result of a cross between Graptopetalum paranguen and Echeveria gibiflora. It offsets readily and will eventually create a nice floral carpet. It is highly valued for its amazing color and beauty. So it grows up to 18 to 24 inches tall and wide 45 to 60 centimeters. Easily grown in sandy, dry to medium moisture, well-drained soils in full sun or light shade. The best color is obtained in full sun. Thrives in heat and tolerates drought when established. Little irrigation is required. Excellent for rock gardens, succulent gardens, or Mediterranean gardens. And it's also perfect for containers where spectacular floral arrangement can be created. Propagates by stem or leaf cuttings in spring or early summer, and separate offspring in spring. And it is also a native to Mexico. So guys, this Graptoveria Fred Ives is a very easy to care plants, and it can easily be propagated. These babies and stem cuttings and leaf propagations, they are very easy. So they're not really hard to propagate, and I love this Graptoveria Fred Ives. So as I've said a while ago, this Graptoveria Fred Ives is a succulent. So if you are new to succulents just like me, I'm also learning about succulents. So let's discuss about succulents. So generally speaking, this is all about succulents. So succulents are plants with parts that are thickened, fleshy, and engorged, usually to retain water in arid climates or soil conditions. The word succulent comes from the Latin word succus, meaning juice or sap. Succulent plants may store water in various structures such as leaves and stems. The water content of some succulent organs can get up to 90 to 95%. And some definitions also include roots, thus geophytes that survive unfavorable periods by dying back to underground storage organs, may be regarded as succulents. The habitats of these water-preserving plants are often in areas with high temperatures and low rainfall, such as deserts. But succulents may be found even in alpine ecosystem growing in rocky soil. Succulents are characterized by their ability to thrive on limited water sources, such as mist and dew, which make them equipped to survive in an ecosystem that contains scarce water sources. In horticultural use, the term is sometimes used in a way that excludes plants that botanists would regard as succulents, such as cacti. Succulents are often grown as ornamental plants because of their striking and unusual appearance, as well as their ability to thrive with relatively minimal care. By definition, succulent plants are drought-resistant plants in which the leaves, stems, or roots have become more than usually fleshy by the development of water-storing tissue. Other sources exclude roots as in the definition, a plant with thick, fleshy, and swollen stems and or leaves adapted to dry environments. The difference affect the relationships between succulents and geophytes, plants that survive unfavorable season as a resting bud or on an underground organ. The underground organs such as bulbs, corms, and tubers are often fleshy with water-storing tissues. Thus, if roots are included in the definition, many geophytes would be classified as succulents. Plants adapted to living in a dry environment such as succulents are termed xerophytes. Not all xerophytes are succulents though, since there are other ways of adapting to a shortage of water, for example, by developing small leaves which may roll up or having leathery rather than succulent leaves. Succulents allow themselves to go a long ways without any or low water necessary. Some who grow succulents as a hobby may use the term in a different way from botanists. In horticultural use, the term succulents regularly excludes cacti. For example, in Jacobson's 3-volume of Handbook of Succulents Plants does not include cacti. Many books covering the cultivations of these plants includes cacti or cactus and succulents as a title or a part of the title. In botanical terminology, cacti are succulents, but not the reverse, as many succulents plants are not cacti. Cacti form a monophyletic group and, apart from one species, are native only to the New World, the Americas. A further difficulty for general identification is that plant families are neither succulent nor non-succulents and can contain both. In many genera and families, there is a continuous gradation from plants with thin leaves and normal stems to those with very clearly thickened and fleshy leaves or stems. The succulent's characteristics becomes meaningless for dividing plants into genera and families. Different sources may classify the same species differently. Species with intermediate characteristics such as somewhat fleshy leaves or stems may be described as semi-succulents. Horticulturists often follow commercial conventions and may exclude other groups of plants such as bromeliads that scientifically are considered succulents. A practical horticultural definition has become a succulent plant is any desert plant that a succulent plant collector wishes to grow. Without any consideration of scientific classifications, commercial presentations of succulents plants will present those that customers commonly identify as such. Plants offered commercially then as succulents such as hen and chicks will less often include geophytes, in which the swollen storage organ is wholly underground, but will include plants with codex, that is, a swollen above ground organs at soil level formed from a stem, a root, or both. So let's talk about the appearance. The storage of water often gives succulent plants a more swollen or fleshy appearance than other plants, a characteristic known as succulents. In addition to succulents, succulent plants variously have other water-saving features, and this may include crassulacean acid metabolism or CAM to minimize water loss, absent, reduced, or cylindrical to spherical leaves, reduction in the number of stomata, stem as the main site of photosynthesis rather than leaves, compact, reduced, cushion-like columnar or spherical growth form, ribs enabling rapid increases in plant volume and decreasing surface area exposed to the sun, waxy, hairy, or spiny outer surface to create a humid microhabitat around the plant, which reduces air movement near the surface of the plant and thereby reduces water loss and may create shade. Roots very near the surface of the soil, so they are able to take up moisture from very small showers or even from heavy dew. Ability to remain plump and full of water even with a high internal temperature, for example, 52 degrees Celsius or 126 degrees Fahrenheit. Very impervious outer cuticle and fast wound sealing and healing. And in regards to habitats, other than in Antarctica, succulents can be found within each continent. According to the World Wildlife Fund, South Africa is home to around a third of all succulent species. While it is often thought that most succulents come from dry areas such as steppes, semi-deserts, and deserts, the world's driest areas do not make for proper succulent habitats. mainly due to the difficulties such as low-growing plants for seedlings would have to thrive in environments where they could easily be covered by sand. Australia, the world's driest inhabited continent, holds very few native succulents due to the frequent and prolonged drought. Even Africa, the continent with the most native succulents, does not host many of the plants in its most dry regions. While succulents are unable to grow in these harshest of conditions, they are able to grow in conditions that are uninhabitable by other plants. In fact, many succulents are able to thrive in dry conditions, and some are able to last up to 2 years without water depending on their surroundings and adaptations. Occasionally, succulents may occur as epiphytes, growing on other plants with limited or no contact with the ground, and being dependent on their ability to store water and gaining nutrients by other means. It is seen in Tillandsia. Succulents also occur as inhabitants of seacoasts and dry lakes, which are exposed to high level of dissolved minerals that are deadly to many other plant species. California is home to close to 100 succulent species that are native to the state. Many of them live in coastal environments. Potted succulents are able to grow in most indoor environments with minimal care. And about conservation, so there is thriving illegal trade in cacti and succulents. In South Africa, several species of succulents have been threatened with extinction due to poaching from the wild for the black market and mining-related activities. The plants are mainly sold to collectors in Asian countries where there has been a high demand for them. Since 1974, it is illegal to be a possession of protected succulents such as the Conophytum without authorization in the Western Cape and Northern Cape, the two South African provinces where they grow. And lastly, about cultivation. Succulents are favored as houseplants for their attractiveness and ease of care. They have been cultivated as houseplants since at least the 17th century. If properly potted, succulents required little maintenance to survive indoors. Succulents are very adaptable houseplants and will thrive in a range of indoor conditions. For most plant owners, overwatering and associated infections are the main cause of death in succulents. Succulents can be propagated by different means. The most common is vegetative propagations. This includes cuttings where several inches of stems with leaves are cut and after healing produce a callus. After a week or so, roots may grow. A second method is division, consisting of uprooting an upgrown clump and pulling the stems and roots apart. And a third method is propagation by leaf by allowing the formation of a callus. During this method, a bottom leaf is fully removed from the plant, often by twisting or cutting. The leaf then dries out and callus forms, preventing the leaf from absorbing too much moisture and rotting. This method typically takes up to a few weeks to produce healthy roots that would eventually create new plants. The vegetative propagation can be different according to the species. So that is all about succulents for today, guys. I hope you learned something and we learn together about succulents. And at the same time, I'm done repotting my Fred Ives. So thank you guys so much and thank you for tuning in. And if you find my channel interesting, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much once again, and until next time, bye!